Warning: the entire video contains major spoilers for Death Note. Watch at your own risk. And for the love of God, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do, because this is without a doubt one of the best animes of all time. Now that I've finally finished this anime, I can tell why it gets so much hype and an extremely large fan base. Hell, even some people I know who aren't anime fans tell me they've seen Death Note and loved it. The reason why this took me so long to finish before is because it got ruined for me, so it kinda killed the suspense and mystery for me. However, I still wanted to watch it because the concept is executed so well with ingenious writing. And of course, you all know I'm into the more darker, serious animes. And for all you who say the anime sucked after L died, what the hell are you talking about? Just, what the hell are you talking about? This was amazing until the very end. And even though I got spoiled, it was still epic to watch. That's how good it was for me. Oh yeah, this is completely irrelevant to this, but did anyone see the news report where some kid got suspended for having a fake Death Note at school? I saw it a while ago and I couldn't stop laughing at it. I'm gonna put the link to the video in the description so you guys could see it. Just pause the video and watch it. I guarantee it will make you smile at least. Death Note has such a simple storyline, yet it's original and mind-blowing how fast it catches the audience's attention. So essentially, the story follows Light Yagami, a top-grade student living in Japan, who is slightly disgusted at the state of the world and wishes something should be done. Then one day out of the blue, Ryuk, who is a Shinigami, or a god of death in English, no, not him, is bored out of his mind sitting in his own world with other Shinigami. So he decides to visit the human world and drops his Death Note down there, just because he has nothing else to do. A Death Note is a book which, if someone writes a human being's name in it while thinking of their face, that person will die within 40 seconds. Or you could specify when they die. Then Light sees a notebook fall from the sky and decides to pick it up to see what it is. Now, of course, he doesn't believe it's real. I mean, who the hell would? So he decides to test it on a dangerous criminal on TV. And once he finds out it actually is the real deal, he decides to use the supernatural notebook to wipe off every single criminal and evil in the world, with his own sense of justice. After killing a large sum of extremely dangerous criminals with heart attacks, whether they be on the streets, prison, or their home, the International Criminal Police Organization was alerted when this was happening a lot on a daily basis. Of course, struck by fear, they resort to call for the help of L, the world's most brilliant detective, who solved every single case he's been appointed to. It all then comes to an overwhelming mental battle between Light and L to see who finds who first. And for you to decide whose sense of justice is correct, Light's or L's. I think it's safe to say that the entire concept of the Death Note and the story are mainly the strongest point of the series that catches the audience's attention. A notebook that can kill people just by writing their names in it? How genius is that? But granted, it's not really that simple because there's rule to using it. From what I've counted, there's about 114 or 115 rules that you must know before using it. And by the way, I really like how they use expository writing to inform the audience regarding these specific rules. Right about 10 minutes into each episode, which I'm guessing is a cue for commercial break if they were to show this on TV. But you know, there are a lot of rules that need to be known. Even small things. Like for example, the Death Note will not affect those under 780 days old. And you cannot kill humans at the age of 124 or over with a Death Note. Those are generally useless rules, but I found it quite interesting that there's way more to it that needs to be learned about this book, other than you need a name and face to kill. But really, the story is pretty much an epic cat and mouse chase with incredible twists and turns that will blow you away. Kind of like Monster, except sometimes they don't over dramatize the smallest things.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
Okay. That scene was pretty awesome though, I'll admit. You think the concept of the story and the story progression was enough to keep me on the edge of my seat. Well, the characters are just about the same in keeping you interested. Light Yagami is a badass in the purest form. I really like this character because he relates to me and thinks exactly the way I do. Other than I'm not a genius badass like him, I really think Light's sense of justice is the right one. Any human that takes another person's life without an extremely good reason should be wiped off the face of the earth. Light Yagami is a god. I don't care what anyone wants to say. He is my hero, and he thinks exactly the way I and lots of other people do. You know, these days, especially here in Canada, people get off alive too easy with the most horrifying crimes one can commit. And sometimes I feel like that life in prison is too good for them, since there's no death penalty here, and in some other countries in the world. I know what some people are gonna say. Light Yagami was also evil for killing other people, and he's a selfish person. Yeah, that's not the way I saw it. He wasn't really using a death note to gain anything. He was cleaning the trash off this world, and reducing crime and wars by a ridiculously high percentage, making it a better place to live for innocent people. This probably makes me evil, and I'm probably on a new hit list for a lot of fangirls, but I didn't care when Elle died. Seriously, I kid you not, when Light pwned Elle, my face was like this. And I was so tempted to laugh maniacally like this when it happened. Just that moment when his eyes closed and Light was smiling with the evil red eyes, I got a slight bit of pleasure of thinking how many fangirls cried that episode. And I wish I could taste the sweet tears of anguish they shed over Elle's death. I guess that makes me a sadistic bastard, huh? Whatever, everyone has their own guilty pleasure. I mean, I know Elle meant well. He's a brilliant detective and all, but he got what was coming to him for trying to mess with a god like Light Yagami. I also really like the Shinigami and their personalities. Ryuk is just... I don't know how to say it. He's like one of those chilling good friends you'd like to have a beer with at a bar while talking about what your life is like. Know what I mean? Plus, his addiction to apples is quite funny to watch sometimes. Rem was way too nice, to the point she got easily manipulated by Light into killing Elle for the sake of saving Misa. Thus, with that, Light killed two birds with one stone. I mean, there is no end to how badass Light is. Death Note is also kinda scary though if you think about it. I mean, what if this book fell into wrong hands? What would happen? It brings up so many questions one could ever think to ask. I never got bored throughout. I enjoyed the epic music, and the serious dark gothic art style made my eyes have an orgasm sometimes. One extremely minor issue I had was the ending. It just pissed me off because just once I'd like to see the antagonist win. Like, what the hell? Even though I think they did that because there's a lot of morals to be taught from this. Like, human beings sometimes cannot handle too much power. That's one out of hundreds of possibilities the viewer could think after watching this. But I wasn't one of them because I think Light did pretty well. But it's safe to say though, Death Note is absolutely one of the best animes ever made, and it definitely deserves all the hype and attention it gets. And I should have watched this a long time ago, but it's better late than never, right? Overall, in my opinion, I think this deserves a perfect 10 out of 10. It was an epic masterpiece. Now guys, I have a few questions for you. First off, which Shinigami was your favorite? Mine was Ryuk, hands down. Secondly, do you think Light Yagami was right with his sense of justice? And lastly, if you guys had the Death Note, what would you do with it? Please answer those questions in the comments down below. And tell me also what you guys thought of Death Note, because I'd like to know.